Hey everyone, welcome back. This week I'm excited to tackle a question that I got from one of our Gentle Productivity Club members for a Q&A. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, we've got to turn this into a whole episode. In case you didn't know, the Gentle Productivity Club is a hustle-free membership designed for creatives and high achievers to get stuff done so that they can focus on the work that lights them up and on getting done with the work and getting out into their lives. No hustle included. Yes. Here's the question that came in. Do you think it's easier to be gently productive after years of working to burn out? I love the idea of being soft and gentle with myself, but I'm pretty early in my career and feel like I need to spend my spare time working now and be gentle later. A lot of the quote, be nice to yourself content in my feed comes from people who work to burnout when they were younger and are coming home to gentleness, when their businesses and lives look, from my perspective, settled and successful due to their prior hard work years. The first reason I got so excited about this question is because it's something that I have wondered for a really long time. Being an internet dinosaur, I started blogging in 2008, started my podcast in 2014, started my coaching business in 2011. And yeah, I have seen a lot of different trends come and go. And for so long, it was that girl boss culture. Go, you gotta hustle. I'm not even pointing fingers. I was doing it too. And then we got to a point where people did start burning out. People had to pull back. The pendulum swung in the other direction. And for a lot of people, that looked like a break, a sabbatical, a big step back. There was a bit of a reckoning of what do I really need? How do I want to be showing up? What does it mean to commit my life to whatever this is I'm doing, whatever this endeavor is? And is it working for me? I love that question. Is it working for me? And where we've come now is what I hope is a middle ground where we can look at, we don't want the burnout. We don't want too much, too hard, but we also don't want too little or nothing. That's why I brought back Raise Your Hand, Say Yes. And it's why I have the Gentle Productivity Club. We want to show up and get things done in a way that works for us, in a way that sustains us. We're saying yes to ourselves and we're saying yes to the things that we really want to do. But as the question asked, am I only able to do that once I have hit a certain level of success? Because that is what it can feel like, that I need to hustle now so I can rest later. To start us off, I want to underscore the myth that is inherent in the question. And the myth is that working harder equals more success. It's just not true. In fact, what studies show is that when people work the 4-day work week instead of the 5-day work week, people are just as effective in fewer hours. The work still gets done. Ooh, isn't that nice? What we get to do when we put that myth aside is we get to say, okay, what do I want to believe about success, about what's possible, about what that success looks like, about what creates it? And then all of a sudden, we have a different goal. What does bring success? Once you have that idea of what it is, then what helps you attain it and maintain it is being strategic, focusing on actions that you can take, and focusing on the most effective actions you can take towards your goal. But so often we set out towards action, we don't even have a goal in mind. I don't even know what I'm aiming at. I'm not just pointing fingers. This is something that I do too. And in fact, it's more comfortable and familiar to just take action than to sit down and really think about our goal and think about what is going to define success for us individually. So what I want you to think about, and you can experiment with this one, is the next time that you're sitting down to work on something, anything. This could be reading your kid a bedtime story. It could be a work project. It could be a social media post. It could be a workout. It could be getting dressed in the morning. Think about, what do you want to get out of this? What does success look like for you? What does success look like for you here, today, in that moment? And then let yourself work towards that. If you aren't sure, if you don't know what success looks like, that's okay too. What data can you start to collect? What can you play with to figure that out? We're leaning on that discernment. We're also leaning on the acceptance. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will link up here to the Radical Self-Belief video. Maybe you need to accept that you aren't sure what success looks like. Maybe you need to accept that other people in your life have a different definition of success than you do. Ooh, do you know how much conflict that creates? We may not be able to make it go away, but wow, what beautiful awareness you can bring to it. And how much will that shift when you start to understand, oh, we're actually working towards different goals here. No wonder there's so much tension. Instead of hustle until you burn out, and then hustle some more, and then you burn out, and then hustle some more, and then you burn out, where this becomes the norm. I've lived that way. It does not feel good. Is that you get to set a more sustainable pace for yourself right away. I want you to understand that adopting a gentler approach to productivity, saying yes to gentle productivity, I love it. Saying yes to gentle productivity, if we're only looking at your output, if we're only looking at what gets produced, often it doesn't look that different from hustle, go. It feels radically different on the inside. Oh yeah, it's so good. Things are still getting done. What we're doing is completely altering your animating energy. We are altering the energy that is moving through you, that is compelling you to do whatever it is that you're doing. Hustle culture, fear. That is the animating energy. Fear, lack, not enoughness, have to catch up, already behind. And is that the energy that you want to animate you? One of my favorite metaphors for this is thinking about reading to your kids at night before they go to bed. Thinking about if we are moving through bedtime, reading to our kids story time with the animating energy of fear, with the fear of, if I don't do this, I'm a bad parent. If I don't do this, they're not going to go to college or go to a good college, or they're going to fail in kindergarten, or they're not going to understand their ABCs, or everybody's going to laugh at them. Oh my God. And how is that going to feel when you're experiencing this bedtime? Versus animating energy of love, where you say, yeah, I read to my kids at night because I love it. They love it. It's so fun. It's one of my favorite parts of the day. Think about how present you're going to be when you show up to that story time. Think about how you're going to carry yourself through that story time, where instead of just checking off boxes, you are living in the experience of it. And you cannot tell me that the frantic, fear-based experience is going to feel better than the being present experience. And then when we think about effectiveness, about the kind of parent you want to be, the kind of person you want to be on this planet, what do you choose? Here's the thing though. Like, let's say that I've convinced you and you're like, okay, gentle productivity, sure. There's a whole club for it. We'll put a link in show notes. Easier said than done to actually live it, which is why there's a whole club, is because this is not a one and done thing. It is not something that you're like, oh, right, I understand it, therefore check a box and now we're done. If you are someone who has hustled for so long, adopting gentle productivity, stepping into that lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle, is going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to feel like you're doing something wrong. One of my favorite things is when people come to me and they're like, oh my God, I got everything done. It felt great. I finished work early and I was able to go and be in my life. It feels like cheating. And I'm like, that's right. That's right. Because we have been so conditioned to believe that hustling is the one right way, the only right way. And if we are not balls to the wall, going as hard as we can, we're doing something wrong. It's going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like you are not doing enough. And that doubt is going to be rampant. Call on your faith. That is a perfect time to call that in. Some people aren't going to understand. Not everybody gets gentle productivity. Not everybody has the same conditioning you have. Not everybody's brain works the way that yours works. That doesn't make you wrong. We're also not going to make them wrong, but more importantly, we're not making you wrong here. What you're doing by stepping out with gentle productivity. And I also want to talk to the people who have done the hustle and gotten the success, and then now they're finding a different way, because we're all always at the beginning of something, is you're laying the foundation for what you want to continue. You're planting the seeds that you want to grow and that you want to harvest later. Otherwise, what happens is you're going to have to shift gears mid-flow. It's going to be painful. It's going to be jarring. As somebody who's had to do that, many times, not good for business, not good for success. To have to hit pause like that. And I look back on so many different places and so many different choices I made. I'm looking back with grace, but I'm like, if I had adopted and embraced an easier way then, I wouldn't have ever have gotten to that point where then I had to walk so much back and recover. It's like if you're driving a car and you're running late, and so you think the answer is to speed and run red lights, which nobody listening to this does, I know. Speed and run red lights and run stop signs, because that feels like the only way that you can be in control, and then you get into an accident, then you're really late. So you could have gone at a more sustainable pace the whole time. Building a shaky foundation now is going to require a huge course correction down the road. So why not look at what foundation can you build now? Also, becoming the person who everybody counts on to always over-deliver and always go above and beyond, that is a hard one to walk back later. Okay, so how do you proceed? What do you do now? There's a whole club around gentle productivity run by this awesome life coach who's really fun and really smart and good at what she does. So you can come join us there. But here are 5 more steps that you can think about with your what's next. Number 1, remember that you can do so much more with a balanced nervous system than with a dysregulated nervous system. We want to call on discernment. We want to hone our critical thinking skills. You want to hone your creativity. You are not going to do that when you're dysregulated. But so often we think, if only I can stay dysregulated for a little bit longer. You have to trust yourself enough to know when you need to slow down. Yes, it's going to feel slower, but the quality of what you're able to create is going to be so much higher. Number 2, remember that you are defining and working on success for your life all the time, not just when you're at work. We've all experienced or witnessed I'm going to do everything I can for success at work and come home and just be a shell of a human, but that's your life too. And so what are you trading? What are you trading? And thinking about, and what does living in integrity mean to you? What does that look like to you? Not just looking at your career through a lens, but your whole life. How do you want to be moving through it? Thinking about that animating force of love, joy, creativity, versus the animating energy of fear. Number 3, measure effectiveness. Let yourself measure effectiveness. Use that as your marker of success. And know that you can adapt and evolve and shift as you need to. Not only can you, but trust that you will. That is part of figuring out something new. That is part of being in this experience and being on this journey. And it's okay to need to do that. Not only is it okay, that's great, because every step you take, you get more information. And then, yes, please, let's adapt. So you get to be flexible and fluid and nimble this whole time. And even the permission to do that, what a gift. What a gift. Number 4, remember that you are not even going to be able to call on the discernment that you might need, the faith that you might need, the trust that you might need, that radical self-belief that you might need until you slow down. So we can't hurry up and get there. I wish we could. Because if we could, man, you and I would be there already. We'd have been there 10 minutes ago. We haven't even finished this. But that's not how it works. So can you practice a slowdown? It doesn't even need to be forever. Give me 5 minutes of slowing down right now. And I know there are some of you that are listening to this at like 2x. Me too, I do it too. But what are we rushing through to get to? What are we hurrying up to get to? And what is the energy that is driving you through that? As you practice slowing down, also practice setting intentional goals, being deliberate, letting yourself know what's a priority and what's not. It's so scary. I know. How can I pick a priority when they are all so important? I know, I'm working on a video for that. And number 5 is get into the habit of checking in with yourself. Sounds so simple. Just check in with, that's all I have to do. Just check in with myself. Yep, check in with yourself, check in with how your life feels. And notice the places in your life where you feel obligated to compromise to compromise your values, to compromise what you want, to compromise what matters most, to compromise the person you are on the inside, to compromise who you want to be and how you want to show up. You don't have to say no to them right away, but just notice where those compromises are and where they aren't. And notice how your life feels. Because the noticing is going to lead to new levels of knowing, which is going to help all of those new big yeses unfold. And it's amazing. So I hope this helps. I hope this answers the question. If it brings up other questions, then that is doing its job. Let me know what those are. Like and subscribe and do all the things. Thank you all for being here. If you want more information about the Gentle Productivity Club, click that link in the show notes. You are all amazing. Big love. I'll see you soon.